ladies and gents, to our very first episode of Skrew News, aka Skeleton Crew News. And for those that have been watching us on our old podcast, which was the Citizen feed, we've morphed. We've transformed like a beautiful butterfly into maybe a more beautiful butterfly. We don't know yet, but our one of our co-hosts, Delta X85, ladies and gents, has moved on from Star Citizen, but me and Ace, being the Star Citizen fanatics that we are going to continue doing podcasts because we love the project so much. So welcome to the Skeleton Crew News, episode 1, and I've got Ace Rimmer on the line.
Guys, thanks for tuning in.
And yeah, and what a couple of weeks to take off and come back to Star Citizen, because
Holy cow.
Oh my God, so much has happened. So Ace, I'll just sort of set the tone for what a crazy couple of weeks it's been. We've had and we'll, we're gonna work into our segments, the ship talk and the lore sections when we've got time to breathe, but we won't be able to do it this episode because it's just Star Citizen's been blowing up the last 2 weeks. So we've had obviously 3.15, the new patch with some huge mechanical introductions like Death of a Spaceman and the inventory system, which is, huge changes to the game. We've had ships sprinkled in here and there. We've had the Origin 400i exploration ship introduced. We've had the Ares Inferno and the Ares Ion dropped in 3.15.1 on PTU at the moment, and the Redeemer. Yeah. So huge ships have been, lots of new ships to play with. And then on top of that, we had this amazing Q&A, which for me has blown my mind. It's a timeline of when server meshing is going to slowly get implemented, and that's all I've ever wanted with this project. And I was hoping to hear this type of information at CitizenCon. I didn't. I was sad, but now they came out with this amazing Q&A. You guys need to check it out. We'll link it below in our on our channel. And just the direct communication from CIG, I appreciate it. When they're going to do it, what they're doing. End of next year will be, sort of static server meshing, and this might get blown out. It doesn't matter. The fact that someone is telling me what they're aiming to do is really all I need. I don't need, I don't care if it gets blown out because it is complex stuff. But it's better than nothingness. Nothingness annoys me.
Yeah. Before it was like, it felt a little bit like the Holy Grail, that mystical thing that everybody wants, but nobody knows anything about it. Now we got technical plans, basically.
Yeah.
We got an idea what is coming, how it's going to work, and when they plan to actually implement it. And massive news. Yeah, I was surprised. Seriously surprised.
Me too.
Mostly by the date, man. It's way sooner than expected. And even if they surpass it, it's a good date and an ambitious date. Let's call it that. Agree.
It really took me by surprise, and really happy. So we had that Q&A, and we've got the expo coming up, which I want to talk about at the end of this podcast as well, and hopefully a little game I want to introduce to Ace, and hoping that he'll play with me during the expo. And then obviously we're going to go through some media releases, guys. It's been 2 weeks, so we're going to go through the Inside Star Citizen Future of Space Combat, the Inside Star Citizen Sweet Gadget of Mine, and the SC Live Outer Space interface as well. So those 3 videos we're going to give our thoughts on as well. But let's get started with the server meshing Q&A, and if you just give me a moment, I'm going to bring it up here. And the thing that made me my jaw drop to the ground is something you don't typically see in Star Citizen when you follow it, is the first question, Ace. When will we see persistent streaming and server meshing? And they're like, ideally...
When questions.
Yeah!
It's done when it's done. But no, they actually answered.
So, yeah. So here we've got our current aim is to release persistent streaming and the first version of the replication layer, which I don't know anything about because I'm not a coder, between Q1 and Q2 next year. So,
which is 2 months from now, let's be honest.
Holy cow.
Well,
yeah.
Q1 starts in 2 months. Let's go with that. Could be in 5 months, but still.
I didn't even realize how ambitious it was, mate. You're absolutely...
It's way sooner than...
Yes.
way sooner than I was expecting. I was thinking like, okay, maybe at the end of next year we might get something. But no, this is way earlier. This is right around the corner, man.
Wow. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Hence, they must have been making a lot of good progress on at least what they want to, what they've built and what they're confident with to mention. Because, that makes sense. So, that's super quick, guys. So, that's really got me pumped up. So, well done, CIG. Good bit of communication.
Absolutely, thumbs up.
Look, I'm not going to go into the technical side of things as much, but it is kind of like instancing in a way. Is that right, Ace?
I think. Yeah, I'm also not the tech savviest guy, but yeah, that's how I understood it. Like it would be sharded into individual smaller portions.
Yeah,
that will get streamed together, something like that.
That's right. I think they're happy to aim for like a lot of, they call them shards, or you can call them instances, guys. And these instances of the universe, as they go from maybe static to dynamic server meshing, which is a term that they use often, will hopefully become one shard per region. I think they were confident in that. And, as an engineer, when they said we want one universe, one shard for the whole world, I was thinking, so these guys are going to be one of the first people in the world to solve the problem of the speed of light and physical distance on the planet. Because when you talk about one instance, you're talking about people from all around the world connecting to certain locations and getting over latency differences between these things. So they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They've retreated from that one shard vision. They're hoping they can maybe do that. They haven't written it off. They're not going to not aim to do that. But to get this thing, happening, they'll have a lot of different shards. Then hopefully with the goal of having one shard per region, which will be awesome. And another really good thing for me that I wanted to hear at CitizenCon was about desynchronization. To me, desync is killing me, Ace. And I didn't hear anything from any angle saying we're working on this to solve desync, we're working on that to solve desync. But in this Q&A, they've specifically said that this technology is going to help a lot with desync. I couldn't find the right word, but it's going to significantly improve desynchronization. Yeah. So, happy. I'm a happy man.
Absolutely, man. It's a good time to be a Star Citizen.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else? So obviously, object container streaming that was introduced was a step towards server meshing. It was a building block of server meshing. Then they talk about this replication and layer and persistent streaming. side of things. We're not going to get into it. Static and dynamic server meshing. So static, I think, is like is a certain number of servers are in the mesh. It's a static number of servers in the mesh, which is not ideal. And then with dynamic, you can actually activate or scale out across servers if you need to, and scale down and things like that. I think.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, I think, almost automatic, and the game would adjust to its needs. So if you have one player in one region, he wouldn't have a whole server to himself. It would get shared with other stuff, and yeah, complicated. I didn't understand 100%, but it's for higher functionality. That's what I got.
Yeah.
And it seems that they know what they're doing.
Yes, that's the main key point I got out of it, is they've got a roadmap to it. And I think they're further along the roadmap than any of us even thought or hoped for, which is awesome. It's going to increase the scale. It won't probably be what we all daydreamed about, like having 10,000 players and all that stuff. But, they're talking about really, 100 players and looking to push that 100 players to something else. We don't know what that's something. It might end up being 150 players. I don't know, right?
The thing with the amount of players is that it's not only limited to their servers, it's also limited to what your computer can actually render in before it starts to catch fire.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many things your computer can achieve and render in for.
Yeah.
For you to view without losing a lot of quality or performance or whatnot.
Yes, exactly. And I think the Vulkan element that they're working on, the graphics team is working on Vulkan, that'll allow them to increase the draw calls and should improve many players, how many players can render at the same time and stuff. So here's another quote. We're aiming to increase our player count, and our expectation is that we will support scenarios where 100 players can see each other, at reasonable frame rates. However, as we start scaling our shards to support higher player counts, the likelihood that every single player within a shard can go to the same physical location and see each other without performance issues will decrease. So they're being very honest with it, so that there is this notion of the more players in a certain place is going to decrease performance. So they're looking at like implementing game mechanics and stuff to pull people to different parts of the universe and spread them around. So the absolute limit is hard to predict until some of the new technology comes online and we can start to measure performance. And look, some of I don't want to call them haters, they're Star Citizen fans. Some of these people like, man, you promised one universe, 10,000, players on a server, one server, and all that stuff, which was, they're right to say that. And this is like honest information about stuff that can be done. And it has got me thinking, Ace, what do you think about huge ships? Like, do you think a Javelin owner is going to be a bit like, oh God, how's this going to work for me with my 85 crew on one ship type thing?
Well, generally speaking, I think all the ships that have like those huge crew requirements will be troublesome to actually play with, just because of organizational stuff. I mean, we're all regular people. Not everybody was like trained in the military and is effective as a soldier on a boat or whatever. So I think there's gonna be a lot of, oh yeah, but I need to go buy some mat pants first, and with 80 people at once. We gotta be realistic here. I mean, I'm not saying nobody will pull it off, but running it effectively and like as intended will not be as easy as many people wish it to be in the end.
I left my undersuit back in Orison. I'll be back in 40 minutes.
Or that one dude that got stuck in bed or in between elevator doors or whatever. You know, something always happens, and then connections and there's just many factors that work into that. The other thing is, you were mentioning that with the 10,000 players and people complaining about that not being what they were promised.
Yeah.
They were never promised that you'd have a server with 10,000 people in one location and everybody would be sitting on top of each other. That's a ridiculous assumption.
Yeah.
And if you actually think that's gonna work with player characters, then you don't know anything about computer games and how rendering and stuff works, because your computer would just explode. That's how it is.
Yeah.
100 players is already a lot, and especially if you consider the fidelity in the game. I mean, if they pull that off, and there could be 100 players in one location, you could be seeing each and every ship of everyone and all the lasers, explosions, missiles, and all the other bullshit that goes on. Man, that's an achievement already.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I'm happy with 100 players, knowing that they're going to try and push that limit as well. If they just said in this announcement that 100 is it, game over, I'd be happy. Don't get me wrong. I'd be very happy. I'd still play the game forever. But I'd be a little bit sad because this project's always known to be pushing those limits, and which is what they're doing. So, yeah, I agree with everything you say, Yates.
How many times have you encountered 50 players in one location anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even in Xenothreat or Ninetales. I think tops was 20, maybe 30. But
yeah. And again, I suppose it also depends on if this technology unleashes the scale as well and allows them to add another solar system or two, then you also don't want to be in the position where you don't see anyone.
Yeah, of course. It's a big place to start with, and we're getting even bigger places. So.
Yeah. I think that comes down to how intelligently they design points of interest as well. So, it is space. Space is a big place. You don't bump into everyone all the time. But if they design, like, I don't know, Ruin Station or a point of interest somewhere else that you need to go as a player to do certain things, to buy your food that you need, to buy the water, and then you go to these hubs, and those hubs are places where you do bump into 5, 10, 20, 25 people. And then you venture off into lone space, and obviously org battles and stuff are a different matter altogether. But I think game design comes into play then in regards to
absolutely.
Yeah. So here's another question. I'll just go some interesting question. One is about the HABs. HABs. Here we go. If I make a base on a moon, will my base be reflected on the other shards that I'm not on? And I think in a nutshell, they say, without me just reading paragraphs of this stuff, because you guys can do that at home. So only one shard will have the active version of the base, with the other shards spawning a limited access / read-only version of that same base. So for example, a base will give full access and the ability to expand in the shard the owner currently plays on, while on the other dimensions or the other shards or instances, this base may spawn with locked doors in an immutable state.
I mean, that sounds pretty perfect. I don't know how they'd solve it otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to go even the easier route, Ace, and like not even have your HAB in other shards or something. There was a game, I think, is it Fallout 76, that when you spawn in your base?
Yeah, I think it was Fallout 76.
Yeah, and then when you leave,
just pops into existence.
Yeah, and then it moves with you. It disappears when you go. But so this is great. This is
a really good solution.
Yeah,
gotta be honest. I mean, okay, maybe you can't access it, but hey,
you can see it and it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. Is the true end goal one single shard for all players? This is what I touched on before. Let me just quickly speed read. So I'm just going to skip to the bottom. Essentially what they're saying is once we overcome all of these like technological hurdles and accomplish 1 mega shard per region, will be able to take on the final boss, and that's merging regional shards into one global mega shard. This comes with its own set of issues, as locality plays a big role in the player experience. For example, latency between services within the same data center is much lower than latency between services that are hosted in two regionally separate data. So engineers, I'm a telecommunications engineer, so very much well versed with the speed of light and physical distance limitations. And I would have been, if these guys would have solved that, and they could just close down the game and sell this technology to other publishers and just say, that's how important that technology would be. It'd be revolutionary, pretty much. So, but they're going to tackle it. They're going to try and tackle it. So I reckon they're confident with one shard in a region, and then, like they say, take on the big boss. Will the economy of the universe be independent in every shard or join? So it's going to be global. Economy will be global and reflected on each shard. So all these little shards feed up to the economic state, which is like a global state, and that feeds back down to all the shards.
Yeah, I see that working easily, because that's just data transmissions and updates, and it doesn't have to be like super on the fly. If that's delayed by 1 or 2 seconds, nobody's gonna cry.
Yeah, and also, man, it's one centralized spot. The economy is in one spot. They don't have to have multiple versions of it for all these instances. So it's one spot, and also it gives you that consistency. If everyone's buying aluminium or whatever, it get across the shards. You don't suddenly go into a shard where aluminium's not being bought by anyone type thing. It keeps it consistent, like one universe, in my opinion. So
yeah, it makes it harder to cheat the system by just server hopping and buying stuff on another one and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a great idea of how they want to do it.
And look, there's a lot more detailed information, guys, but at the end of the day, it's freaking the best Q&A in the history of CIG, in my opinion. And thanks, Sig. So go check it out, read it if you haven't. Any closing comments, Ace, on this before we move on?
Well, yeah, it's a definite must read for every Star Citizen player. I totally agree with that. It just blew my mind. I was like, what?
Timelines? Dates?
Yeah, but not only that, it felt like they actually know what they're talking about, and once they start talking about stuff like that and even have their little graphics and things in place, I always think they are 2 steps further ahead than we actually know of.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling.
Yes.
That's it. Let's face it, that's good, man.
It is. So before I get stuck into the media releases, I wanted just to touch on you, Ace. Like, again, this podcast is going to be, two gamers. We're not guys that are developers. We're not going to read the patch notes to the audience. There's a lot of people that do that. We're two passionate Star Citizen players. We like playing the game. We're not developers. We're users. We are users and consumers of this game, and that's the perspective that we're going to give you guys whilst playing the game as much as we can. Thankfully, I don't have any kids or anything, so I do get to play the game, 3 or 4 days a week, and same with Ace. So before we get stuck into the media releases, Ace, I was going to ask, let's talk about 3.15, 3.15.1. So we've had, what are have you flown the Inferno or the Ion? What's your take on the two new ships?
I think it was 5 minutes after I read that the patch is out for the PTU that I started downloading it. I've been waiting for the Inferno for quite a while.
Okay,
and,
yep.
Oh my god, it's my new favorite ship. I love it so badly. It's so great. First of all, it's hard. It's hard to fly. That's an important thing to say. It's not the easiest.
Yeah.
But the engine sound alone makes up for it. And oh man, that gun,
It's amazing, isn't
it's
it?
it's amazing. And I was testing it out with some random dude, and he was in 400 die, and at some point we swapped chips, and I let him shoot the 400 die, and everything was shaking with each single hit. That was amazing.
Wow, quite
And I
intimidating.
expect people to be afraid if you show up in one, because man, if I see one and I'm not in one, I'm gonna run.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Um, did you fly the Ion as well?
no, I didn't. Just the Inferno. I haven't
Yeah.
seen the Redeemer either yet because yeah, we on the first day we were having real trouble to get onto the same server.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I flew the Inferno, and we were lucky enough to have the Ion as well. And I really, really like what they've done with the ship. A couple of things. One is, for those that don't know, it's a heavy fighter with just a huge size 7 gun on its shoulder. There's two versions of it: the Inferno, which is a ballistic version, and it's just got a huge bloody minigun. I don't even know the word mini is should be word used
Yeah,
in the sentence, but it's like, I don't know, the rotary gun, whatever you want to call it. It's got one of those guns, and the Ion's got a huge laser. So the Burt gun like sort of winds up slowly and starts shooting bullets, and the laser cannon kind of shoots a massive pulse of laser every zero point 0.8 or zero point 0.9 of a second type thing. But what I liked about it is I had a fear that it might be too overpowered. In it's designed to take down, like, I think, medium and larger ships. Like, it's a killer of those things. To tear those
yeah,
things into pieces. What I was fearing is that they release it and it becomes a killer of everything. And when I got into it, the way they made, like you said, Ace, it's hard to fly. The way they made the gun platform a little bit unstable, like you couldn't really do really accurate shots, was really clever in the way that CIG implemented it. So this, when I was up
I
against
agree.
a light fighter like a Gladius or an Arrow or something, it's bloody hard, excuse my French, to hit these things. And they had this little wobble or this kind of slight instability in it, as you could feel that you're a huge gun that's trying to, move around in space. And yeah, if you're a good shot, or if you're good at predicting where your enemy's going to go, and you can, put into your calculations the wind up time of your gun and all that sort of stuff, yeah, you might be able to kill a lot of guys. But the average player is going to find it difficult to kill a light fighter, and I think that's a nice balance, because you shouldn't have this heavy fighter killing, light fighters and stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely not a dogfighter. A hurricane, for example, will slap you left and right, no problem. You won't have the chance to even get them into your crosshairs.
Yeah.
It's I think they did really well with the way of balancing it,
Yeah.
and it actually feels like recoil when you shoot that Gatling gun. Like bullets are spreading around a center
Yeah.
where you try to aim at, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Dude, I was in a ship, and I think my friend was in the Ion, and he was about, I don't know, maybe 100 meters away from me, and he was just shooting randomly at the planet or whatever. So I was in another ship 100 meters away, and my screen was shaking.
Yeah, it's massive,
Like,
man. Every
what the
shot
hell?
feels fun.
Yeah. I'm like not even on his ship, and my screen was shaking. It was like unbelievable. So the Inferno's a ballistic version. It had, at the moment anyway, it's got 2,000 rounds, and which lasts a while. I think it's actually good. It
Yeah, it's the rate of fire is not as exaggerated as on the other Gatling guns, where it goes like it's more like a fast shooting cannon, if you want.
yeah, yeah. I felt anyway that you could kind of stay out there for a while and keep shooting before you had to go back and reload. So is Inferno got more armor than the Ion? Is that true, or am I just making things up, Ace?
I think the Ion has better shields.
Ion's got better
That's
shields,
what it is.
and
Yeah,
does
and
it?
the Inferno
It's got more
has.
armor.
I think so. Yeah,
Because I think
I'm not exactly sure
yeah, I think
about the armor.
you know the textures on the wings, that sort of
Yeah, with the hex
hexagon.
field.
Yeah, I have a sneaky feeling that that's more armor, but
Yeah, might be.
so the Redeemer you didn't get on. I just was able to walk into it, and yeah, it was nice. I mean, for me, the Redeemer looks like the Aliens dropship. So the more and more I look at it, the more and more I slowly want one. I think it'll be a fun multi-crew ship to play with. It's that nice size, sort of medium-sized ship. But I didn't get much time besides just having a wander inside. I haven't flown one. I haven't had friends on board the ship, but that's something for me to do this week. I get on the PTU and I beg people, can I get on your Redeemer, please? And one guy was friendly enough to do it, but then I think we had a server crash. I had 4 bunks, big guns, turrets. It's a gunship. Yeah, no. We'll have an in-depth analysis, but that's been released. And Ace, you said that you haven't been on one yet. Is that right?
Yeah. I didn't make it onto one because we were having trouble to get onto the same server on the day it launched, and yeah, I was also so fixated on jumping into the Inferno first and flying it around that was secondary anyway. So yeah, but I was told by my mate who was in the voice chat with me that the light states are amazing, and I need to check it out as soon as possible, and I will.
The light states like in the ship?
Yeah, like you have different lighting states.
Oh.
And they supposedly look fantastic, so I'm
okay.
looking forward to seeing that.
Ambiance. Nice ambiance. Okay, got to check that out. So that covers the ships. I mean, the 400i, that came out as well, obviously. Any thoughts, Ace? Have you been on one? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
First of all, it's an Origin ship, so I don't like it. But from the Origin ships, it's the prettiest they've done.
Yep.
Can we go with that?
Yep.
Good.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. The motorbike slot in the nose is an interesting thing. I feel like Tom Cruise in Top Gun needs to be flying one of those things, and he lands and then jumps on his motorbike with his leather jacket and hoons off.
Everything actually reminded me of that other Tom Cruise movie. What's it called? The one with the white beer spaceship. Oblivion.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's a Tom Cruise ship then. We agree,
yeah,
Ace.
I call it the Tom Cruise eye. Okay. No, but it's a pretty ship. You gotta be honest. Even with all the fun Origin hate and stuff, it's a beautiful ship. The design is really good. I really loved those cooling compartments for the components, where you got those where it's a recessed cooled area behind some glass, and if you access it, even your thermometer in the corner drops down and tells you it's got 0 degrees in there to cool the components and such. Beautiful detail.
What do you think, honestly, of my only gripe is I always expect Origin to be like next gen type stuff, right? Like technology wise and stuff. So being an exploration ship, I always, this is just me because I'm lazy. I always think of exploration ships as somewhere you have like nice to lounge around on the ship with big windows to look outside and gawk at the universe and go, ooh, look at that nebula, look at that planet and things like that. So, at least in the 600i, the bedroom kind of accomplishes that to a large extent. In the 890 jump, you got the upstairs section where you can look up and it's just all glass and all that stuff. I found with the 400i, the back you've been on board one, have you, Ace?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So the back bit where the hollow table I'm going to call it the hollow table. I don't know about the hollow table, first of all, but let's just say it actually becomes something useful. Fair enough. Okay. Like in the Carrick, I understand you have all these important people around the hollow table and they're communicating on what they want to, where do they want to go, where do they don't want to go, and things like that. Let's assume CIG make these hollow tables really effective, right? And not just like a silly thing, right? That no one uses. So let's just assume that happens. But I was thinking, like, I really would have preferred if that back area was more like just couches or like lounges and stuff for people to hang out and look out the back window and take in the universe, as opposed to a hollow table. Because if you think about it, the only place guys can really lounge around on that ship is the kitchen booth. And I find that a bit underwhelming. These guys always sitting in the booth, and the two that are facing you can't even look back out the window. Like they're always like twisted around. So anyway, and all the holodeck stuff. Like you're going to be a very tightly knit crew of 3 people. So that they could have replaced that technology, like just have it in the cockpit somehow, even on each person's MFD, whatever the holodeck did in regards to collaborating navigation. The 3 guys sitting in their separate seats could have just done that, and then have the backspace for actual gawking, relaxing, and looking out a window. But I don't know.
I think you got a good point there, because I don't see the Origin exploration ships as actual exploration ships. They're more like exploration ships as
Touring.
a big expense. Yeah, it's more like a big expensive yacht is today. Like, yeah, you can use it for exploration, but just because you're the only one who's got enough money to sit in that boat and go to that place, not like you're going to do scientific exploration or anything. It's just you explore for the fun of exploring.
Yeah. I just found that there's no way to really take in the universe except the cockpit. But anyway, that's just my ignorant take on things. Moving on quickly. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was saying it's pretty. It's got this this air of a 60s car going on.
Like
the curves and the wings and such, and they did a good job on the design, even if the cartography room is kind of silly. But yeah, okay, that's it. Sorry.
Oh, good, man. Moving on quickly to 315. So that's come out. We need to touch on it. So the inventory system and localized inventories come out, where now you can see when you press I, instead of going through the Moby glass, you press I, you can see inventory presented to you. You've got the local inventory on the right-hand side of the screen, and then you got on the left-hand side of the screen, you've got your inventory as per, any backpacks or pants or chest armor that you have. You can just got to double click and drag them across. The biggest thing, obviously, is the inventory system, but the concept of having your inventory located somewhere physically puts a different twinge on the game immediately. I feel like location's now important. I didn't before. I feel distance now between my home and where I am, which is exactly what I want. I used to love it in Conan Exiles and those type of survival games. When you were far from your home, you felt the weight of the distance of being far from your home. And I'm feeling that a little bit now with this inventory system.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great step forward, and it adds a lot of depth, if you want. Stuff started to actually matter, as they said. And I mean, yeah, this was always promised, and like it was supposed to be a thing, localized inventory and such. But having it here and being able to play around with it for a few weeks now, so good. It feels so good. I personally love it. I know a lot of people have been complaining about, yeah, you lose stuff and that's annoying and you gotta go back. Yeah, how's that in real life? Like if you lose stuff, you gotta buy it again. So yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So we'll touch on Death of a Spaceman, but with the inventory system, I think it's a really good tier 0 effort by CIG. I think,
Yeah, it works pretty well.
yeah, I agree. Considering the huge change that it is, it's a really good first step. And yeah, CIG did well. So again, just to summarize, you pick a primary residence and everything that you own is located at that primary residence, which that in itself is a nice juicy decision to make. I'm feeling when I make these decisions, I know this, like I feel like I'm now in a role playing type thing, like I live here now, or I'm moving there, and things like that, which that makes the game even more immersive than just a generic sandbox. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Star Citizen's just a sandbox," blah blah blah. But I poo-poo that idea. I want a sandbox which is immersive in the way that I feel like I'm living in that universe, not a sandbox that is a computer game sandbox that I go to just shoot other people and then turn it off and on, and that's it. And this is one small step in that direction, especially when you have to choose your primary residence. So. And then if you want to move, you literally have to move like in real life. You put that stuff on your back of your cutlass and you fly off and you land somewhere else and you put it into your new primary residence. Like, that's so cool.
I love all of that because it makes you think about a lot of things, especially if the gear you always like is spread out over the verse, which is the case for me. So
Yeah,
if I start in this place, I can buy these and these components and these things, and have to move over to another place and buy other stuff there, and then move to another place, which is the place I actually want to have my character at, like based at.
absolutely. What else was I going to add? Look, I want to balance it out a little bit. So when it's tough, right? People playing the game, and when you've got bugs and 30Ks and you die and you have to re-equip everything, it can be a bit of a hassle. And I think when you make such a huge change in a game like this, without all the other stuff around it accompanying it, like stability and speed and gameplay loops and stuff, it can be a little bit painful when these things are first introduced. So I do understand people being, if you like, the true players that are just playing this game to like and not testing the game, I suppose. Those guys are going to be annoyed. And I understand that. But that's it on the inventory side. Death of a Spaceman. So that's caused a lot of ruckus in Spectrum.
Indeed, yeah.
So Death of a Spaceman, guys, is Chris Roberts' vision. It was one of the first like letters that he penned in the Kickstarter, I think that was, or a blog if you like, that kind of said, this game's going to be permadeath in a way. And this 3.15 is that first step in that direction. And so when you die now, you respawn at at the nearest hospital or the nearest medical tier 3 or tier 1 medical bed if you've got an 890 jump or a Carrick. And so and you lose everything. And the big whirlwind in Spectrum was the fact that you could lose subscriber flare. And that kind of leaked into other things on Spectrum on, well, insurance and ships. Are you going to lose ships forever? Some people are saying that even if you have no insurance, there's no way in hell that you're going to lose a $900 ship and things like that. So we don't know the answers to this stuff. It just caused a huge whirlwind on Spectrum. And it was good to read different points of view and different things. Because I always say it can be a bit salty on Spectrum, but there's a lot of smart people on there as well. So when you kind of sort through all the salt, you can find these nuggets of really good opinions and ideas and stuff. So what do you think, Ace? Are you like, how do you feel about people paying real money for stuff and being able to lose it. But also, I just don't want anyone to be flippant and say, hey, I don't give a shit. You know, you should know that you could lose it within the first 5 minutes. But I always, before anyone says that, I say, man, this is CIG's revenue stream as well. So keep that in mind when you're being very flippant about people's money as well. So what's your take on it, Ace?
It's a really difficult question.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you should be at least made aware, like very explicitly, that this can happen. I mean, I don't really mind, because like you always will have time to get insurance for your ship, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe some insurance system for items too, like the subscriber stuff.
That's not a bad idea.
That could maybe work. Or some sort of license. Like if you bought the item in real life, like you get a license to actually buy it at shops. And if you didn't, then you don't have the license, and then you can't rebuy it, or can't buy it in general. That would be another way around it.
That's not a bad idea either. Ace, keep going. You're on a roll, dude. It's a great idea.
Yeah,
I didn't
with
think
ship
of it.
insurance, I don't even know how it's gonna work for the stuff they got now. I, for one, try to get everything with LTI anyway, because LTI just feels good, and I'll go from there. But yeah, it will always be possible to buy ship insurance in the game.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think
people worry too much.
Yeah, they do.
They're not gonna take stuff away from you actually paid for.
Yes, I think they've made that clear. They just don't know how. I think they've made that clear. I think they've made it clear that they're not going to take stuff that you've paid for. What they're trying to figure out is they want to allow other people to be able to take that stuff away from you in a legitimate manner, piracy, looting, killing you, whatever. They don't want to stop that either. So they're just trying to figure out this middle ground, how that would work. So I've got a good idea, Ace. I think I've shared this with you, is to, if I get killed and I've got subscriber stuff, let's say subscriber stuff gets tagged as, you know, legendary gear or something. The guy that takes it off me can take it off me. He can wear it, but he can wear it. There's a timer that ticks off for like, I don't know, 7 days, right? And he can wear it and show it off for 7 days, or let's say 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks. He can wear it and show it off for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, the timer reaches 0. And then from that point on, he can't wear it anymore. And then he's got another 2 weeks to sell it to a shop. And for money, really good money as well. Or he could just sell it to the shop straight away, right? But if he wants to actually wear it and troll the guy and say, look, this, I'm wearing your armor, buddy, in your face, type thing, you know, we give him 2 weeks to do that. But and then he's got 2 weeks to sell it for a really good profit. So he benefits from that as well. And he gets to sell it. And as soon as he sells it, the guy whose account this belongs to, he gets access to it straight away. And yeah, that's my idea, but I don't know.
It could be handled with like serial numbers on guns or something, you know? Like each helmet or whatever has a special dedicated serial number and
NFT.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe like that. If you think about it, like
yeah. Mate, I'm telling you,
grab the helmet from some dude. It has like a code engraved somewhere, and if you want to keep that helmet, you can maybe even pay some NPC at some crimey location to like remove the serial number, so you could keep it, but it would cost you extra money. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, and together with the ownership license I mentioned earlier, like if they do like that, the actual owner would always have the chance to buy it back for a few UEC and have it back, and the other guy could keep it, but he'd have to put some extra effort into it.
Yeah.
I think that's how it's gonna work with ships anyway. Like if you steal a ship, you will be able to pay some dude a substantial amount of money for them to hack the transponder and stuff. And
Change the serial number and
yeah,
the
exactly.
VIN. We call that the VIN. I think the VIN plate on our cars in Australia, we call that the VIN plate. It's a little plate
Yeah,
underneath the bonnet with all the serial numbers.
yeah. I mean that would kind of work, I guess. But we'll see. They might come up with some surprises anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So give them time, guys. CIG is brainstorming on how the hell they're gonna do this. At the same time, there's two ways. There's for me, it's like, okay, if you're gonna lose your stuff, then be honest about it and say it on the front page of everything that you advertise. Like when people go to buy ships or whatever, right? You know, you could lose your ship forever due to bugs or something. Like you be brutally honest, right? Don't mislead anyone. Or say there's going to be an insurance system which is going to be quite cheap, and which is what they sort of have today with LTI and stuff. Or say, you know, you're never going to lose your stuff, but just I suppose once they're ready, they'll communicate clearly. I think at the moment the message they've been sending is you're not going to lose stuff that you paid for, and that's very people that are flippant about it, that say, "Oh, mate, who cares? You lose your stuff, blah blah blah." Guess what? You're going to lose 60% of your revenue because people aren't going to spend their hard-earned money on stuff that they're going to lose within 10 minutes of a game, whether you like it or
Yeah.
not. You might be passionate about Star Citizen, but the revenue is going to drop. So you got to be mindful of these things. So yeah, Death of a Spaceman. Yeah, so where did you pick your house, Ace? And why?
Usually Louisville,
Lawville.
just because it's central in the system and lets me jump to everywhere, and you can grind bounties there and make some good starting money.
Cool. I'm a sucker for punishment, so I chose Orison.
Yeah, that's what we did before, but we decided against it this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to change location a few times over the PTU testing,
Yeah.
so I've tried different variations, and let's go with Orison is the least favorable one.
Yeah. The reason I did Orison deep down, I really want to test the frame rates always at Orison. I feel like it's the weak link, and if Orison improves, I get really happy with the whole project as a whole. It's like the canary in the mine shaft for me.
Yes.
So I'm a bit of a sucker for punishment. And boy, 315 was way better, man. Can I just say 315 has been smooth. I've played twice, about 4 hours each time. Smooth. Orison's even smooth.
Yeah, I've been to places and it's buttery smooth. I love it.
It's smooth.
It's
It's way smoother. I'm not going to say it's like 60 frames or even 30 frames, but it's way smoother. Like on the PTU, Orison was a real slideshow, and I was a little bit worried. But when it came on the PU, I was like, oh, thank God I'm not going to be throwing up walking around Orison all the time. So, really happy about that. I'm finding 315 so far to be pretty good. There's some
it's
old
really
bugs there.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that one bug that makes it in, but it was nothing game breaking.
Yeah, yeah. I've had really, relatively. When I say really good, I mean relative to Star Citizen stuff. Really good period of playing in 315. So
How many days have you had?
how many? I've played like 8 hours. I had 130k.
Exactly.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's I don't know what they did, but it's working so good right now.
Yeah, I agree. I was so pleasantly surprised. That kind of lifted my spirits as well, to be honest.
Yeah, man. The improvement in in the fluidity of everything was just really good. Of course, you had some bugs like getting stuck in the Grimhack's elevator and stuff like that, but overall, it really felt like a game.
Yeah,
Like,
agree.
yeah,
So we touched on the inventory system. We touched on Death of a Spaceman. So when you die, you respawn at the hospital that you designate to be your regeneration point, using all that medical jargon that we spoke about a few podcasts ago on the Citizen feed about the Ibrahim spheres and all that sort of stuff. And the Carrick and the 890 jump are super, super special. Have you done any medical rescues or been rescued yet?
Yes, 2 times. But overall, I think they need to tweak the system a little bit because let's go with I never actually experienced tier 3 injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always like boom, you go down and are on the floor. I never had the
Me either. Yes.
yeah, it's
So the tier 3 injuries you're referring to is like a broken leg, a broken arm, or concussed. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And having those what they call them, player active states,
Yeah.
where you get displayed blurry vision and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have that yet. The only thing I always had was like you go down, everything is black and white and blurry, and keeps on fading out into black. That's the only state I experienced, apart from being super high on drugs because someone injected me with his meth gun for fun.
The OD death squads.
That was highly amusing, though.
It was. I'd be standing there looking at a terminal going, wait a second, why is my vision going blurry? And then I'd be passed out. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that's always how it was. You were looking at a terminal and someone was funny.
So are you one to, if you've got the time, to put out a medical beacon and wait patiently? Or not?
No, I do that
You
just
do?
because of immersion reasons. I even call for help when I get stuck on a planet because something happened to the ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in those bunker missions, one of the turrets started shooting my ship.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I call for help
yeah.
and wait.
I do as well, obviously time permitting. Sometimes I'm streaming as well, and it's not that fun for the viewers to watch, but I still do it, and I did it last time, and it was actually fun because me and my friend went into a bunker. I think we both got shot in a down state. We put out a beacon. This other guy came down to help us. He got killed, and he like dropped next to us. So then there was 3 of us. And then there was this other guy, I'll never forget his name. He's from an Australian organisation called ASA, so shout out to them. ASA Duke. ASA Duke came down and like a boss, like handled the bunker, resurrected the 3rd guy, then resurrected my friend, and then had a lot of difficulty in resurrecting me because I was wearing security. I was wearing the security guards, or I was wearing the Ninetales uniform, and the guy that I stole the clothes from was next to me, his body. So he thought that was me because I was butt naked, but I was actually, anyway, complicated. He ended up resurrecting me, and we all got out, and we all had crime stats, so we all worked together to clear our crime stats as well. So it was one of the best organic playing with randoms moment it was one of those magical moments in Star Citizen, and that was a medical beacon. So it worked.
Absolutely. I did something similar with my mate Slash. We went to help some random dude who got downed in a bunker, and we had to clear the bunker first. And yeah, unfortunately, also ended up with a slight crime problem.
Nice.
Yeah, those experiences actually are really good, and that's where I want to see the game go further because it was really enjoyable. Let's just say it like that.
It was. So Ace and the crowd, look, we're at the top of the hour. I want to keep the podcast to an hour, and we haven't even had time to go through all the CIG media releases. So apologies about that. We'll probably wind up the episode now. I just wanted to quickly talk about the expo that's coming up. And Ace, I wanted to invite you to let's see if we can do something on this podcast during the expo and after. Something to keep in mind and the game to play, if you like. I was gonna speak to you about. This is a role-playing thing that I've been doing every year on my crappy YouTube channel. Every time I go to the expo, and I'm a guy in real life that used to go to, before COVID, used to go to conferences and stuff. And I like a good conference. PAX, even PAX is like a conference for me, or for my technology-related conferences in regards to my career and stuff. I love a good conference. You travel to another city. You can be very skeptical of conferences and say it's a waste of time and not put any energy into it, or you can put energy into it and you get a lot out of it. Anyway, I digress. I have been playing this game where I pretend I'm a real person in the verse. Let's say journalist. Let's pretend you're a journalist, Ace, right? And when you go to these expos, so every day there's going to be a different manufacturer.
Yeah.
Can you play a game with me where we have certain categories where we judge the certain expos on every day? So the certain categories are things like when you go to a conference, you want something new and innovative, right? So something new and innovative in terms of Star Citizen might be obviously a new ship, which definitely ticks the box, or even holograms of ships that we know nothing about yet, or holograms of ships that maybe aren't released yet, but we do know something about, right? That all kind of loosely ticks the box of something new and innovative. So that's one category that to review the expo on. The other category would be like variety and kind of like activity. Like, is there ships that you can walk on and interact with? Is there a lot of different type of ships that you can see, or is it just a few different fighters that you can't go on board, or something like that? So the variety and activity is like another category, and then the third category would be like presentation. Like, is it colorful? Is there music? Is there TV screens around showing advertisement? Has it got a vibe? Is there an atmosphere to it? Is it presented well? Sometimes the Drake one's presented well because of the red and the yellow and the black colors and stuff that hit you in the face and things like that. So I don't know if you want to play with me, man, but just to pretend that we're like journalists going to these expos. I'm sure you're going to be going to the expos as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Every day.
So would you play that game with me when the time comes?
Sure, dude.
Yeah, and we give them...
Sure.
We don't want to complicate it. It's just fun. And we just say, for example, today went to Drake and I give it a B- or a C+ or whatever. So, all right, cool. Yeah. We will do that as well. So anyway, Ace, thanks so much, dude.
Thank you, dude.
For hanging out. And sorry, guys, we don't have time to go through all this other stuff. I want to keep it on the hour. We're gonna do this podcast every 2 weeks, but we might release another one next week just to catch up with these shows that we haven't been able to address. There's been just so much going on in Star Citizen. It's pumping hard. And we've got the expo to come as well. God knows what they're going to drop at the expo. I mean, I was watching Inside Star Citizen today, and Jared was like, everyone's going to be happy with the Argo and the MISC days. So I'm expecting some hulls. I don't know, real model of a hull or holograms of hulls. I don't know. But that's what I can think of for the MISC. And then Argo, yeah. I'm thinking skins, the different skins from the recent voting.
Well, yeah, those will also get into the hands of players soon.
Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff happening. Argo. Anyway, guys, this is the Skeleton Crew News, aka Skrew News. Please like and subscribe. Click the follow button. Click the like button. Leave some comments. If you got any questions, leave them below, and we'll try to answer them. You can contact me at Mozsta69 on Twitter if you wanna. If that's your channel of communication. Ace, do you have any Twitter or Instagram accounts that you'd like to share?
No, I don't.
Cool.
No.
So yeah, at Mozsta69 on the Twitter, guys, if you want to contact us. And that's it for now. This is Skrew News, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.